right, it's time to call to order the special City Council and Audit Finance Workshop, Tuesday, December 17th at 5:30. We do have a quorum. Corey, would you call the roll, please?
Councilman Smith,
Here.
Stevens,
Here.
Brown,
Present.
Harrison,
Here.
Pritchard,
Yes.
Mayor.
Here. Scheduled business tonight is discussion on the annual City of McAlester audited financial statements and independent auditors report for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2019. Is it Ms. Swift, Ms. Urban, or Mr. Stasiak? Who wins?
I'll stand up. I'll take responsibility. Good evening, Mayor and Councilman members. Well, today is kind of exciting for us, so we're going to highlight some things that we've got in front of you about our audit this year. That's been probably the quickest that we've had in a long time, that we've got our completion back in the audit back to us. So, you know, in time to send off for our CAFR review. And so we're kind of excited to bring it to you tonight. I want to highlight some things that the two reports that you have in front of you. One is the auditor's communication with those charged with governance addressed to the mayor and city council. And then you'll find the single audit report, and each one of those we'll kind of talk about. So we're going to start off, let's see, with the communication, a letter to the mayor and council members. Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. So I've highlighted in your packet, in your reports there, some of the things that we're going to talk about and highlight, or what we have highlighted for you, which we really find pretty fascinating for us number or nerds or bean counters, so to speak. So the significant audit matters. According to this, management is responsible for the selection of the use of appropriate accounting policies. The significant accounting policies used by the city are described in Note 1 to the financial statements. The city adopted no accounting guidance during the year ended in June 30th of 2019. We noted no transaction entered into by the city during the year for which there is a lack of authoritative guidance or consensus. All significant transactions have been recognized in the financial statement in the proper period. Of course, this is from Finley and Cook, their letter to the members here. Down below, the financial statement discloses are neutral, consistent, and clear. Next, the significant audit matters continued here. We have difficulties encountering it during the performance of the audit. They reported we encountered no significant difficulties in dealing with the management in performing and completing our audit. Corrected or uncorrected misstatements. Professional standards require us to accumulate all known and likely misstatements. They identified no such misstatements. As far as disagreements with management, they were pleased to report that no such disagreements arose during the course of the audit. And the audit wasn't just one person. When they came in, they brought in a team, and that took a team of ours to provide them with all of the information they requested. And on our side, you know, it was several weeks of communicating back and forth while they were here at the office, and then even after sending things to them remotely. Let's see. Then on the final page, really, and you'll have time to, read through this, but basically what they are reporting to you as an independent auditor, we are required to communicate significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, internal controls to audit the committee or its equivalent. Report directly to the audit committee any fraud that causes material misstatement of the financial statements, and any fraud involving senior management. Fraud perpetrated by lower level employees is also to be reported if it is resulted in individually significant misstatements. C, report illegal acts that come to our attention. And they reported, once again, with no findings and nothing to report. So that is extremely good news, and nothing more than what we would expect from our team. The single audit report, I'll tell you, the reason for that audit report is it's required when a city receives a certain amount, which I think right now is $750,000 federal funds, and that is, in our world, is grants. So what that, we qualify for that. Actually, the airport improvement project kind of put us over that budget with $4.4 million on that. But again, they found no material weaknesses in our reporting. Again, because this is federal funds, it's really important that we're following all of those audit procedures and policies and that they require us in order to get those funds each time. If you'll turn to, it gives you the federal funds in what we received through that report. But if you'll turn to page 10, it gives us a summary of the auditor's results. As far as financial statements, internal controls over financial reporting, material weaknesses, no, is checked there. Significant deficiency being identified is none reported. And non-compliance material to financial statements, again, no. On the federal awards, and that means, as fine, the internal controls over the way that we are handling the funds once we get them. Material weaknesses, again, no. Significant deficiencies identified, again, no. Any audits that findings disclosed that were required to be reported in this audit, again, no findings. And then down below, it tells you what the threshold was for that contributed to us being required to do the single audit. And audit qualified at a low risk, again, no. On the final two pages, the financial statements, no findings. And the federal award findings and questions of cost, there were no findings as well. As for prior year, no findings there. So all in all, with no findings, that's really a positive outlook for us, and we look forward to being able to present our materials to, again, to the CAFR awards program, to where we'll be our 6th or 7th year of presenting, in which we've been awarded each time. So, any questions?
It's about as good as it gets, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And when it's no across the board on every single thing.
Yes. That's when you want to hear no.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, I just want to say congratulations, and you guys did an incredible job as usual. getting this done and getting it done to the level that you've got it done. Councilman Smith?
I just want to congratulate you and your team on
Thank
such a
you.
good report also. I wanted to ask you, on this one, that restriction of use, we can't blow our own horn about this?
Information on the,
Why would this be restricted?
no, why? On this restriction of the use for this information?
It's for the management only. I mean, we make it public just because we don't want to keep anything secret. But it's for the use for management and
I read that, but
yeah.
it is a public document.
it is, everything we get is a public document, so
That doesn't really apply.
No.
Good,
not to us.
good job.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Harrison?
Okay, thank you for a job well done. I've got a couple of quick questions. I think they're quick. This cost $27,000, this audit?
For the audit itself? I don't have the cost in front of me.
I think I saw it in one
Yeah,
of the
in our brief,
27.
yeah,
And it looks like the hospital, they used a different auditor.
yes.
What is the reason for two different accountants?
We are required to have two different auditors because they're an authority that is a material authority. So they have completely separate audits.
Oh, okay. Did theirs cost about the same amount?
I'm not exactly
Oh,
sure. Councilman
I
Smith,
don't
do you
remember.
know?
oh, okay.
We bid ours out, a competitive bid.
Oh, a competitive bid. Oh, all right. And is it okay to ask this?
Sure.
Oh, okay. And then on page 13, I don't know if that's what you were talking about, Councilman Smith. Let's see where it says financial highlights. I'm not sure if I understand about this unrestricted net position deficit.
Oh.
On page 13.
You're on page 13 of
Of
the.
the
Oh, I'm
audit.
sorry.
Agenda
Oh,
packet.
right, not 13 of the handout, but
The audit
13 of the
report.
audit report.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what that means.
Do you want to answer?
Well, I didn't look at it.
It's based on pension. We have pension liabilities that are outstanding that go into the future that we have to account for in the present year. So that's related to our defined benefit pension.
Oh, it's related to the pension. And then on the pensions, the fire department and the police department, they're under a separate pension plan than the regular city employees, correct?
Yes.
Oh,
They're under a state pension plan.
they're under a state pension plan, okay. I think I have one other question. Thank you so much. Then over here on, looking also in the audit on page 34 at the top, the McAlester Economic Development Authority, there's a comment at the very end of the sentence that says, has no financial activity. So there's no money budgeted for that, even though it looked like there was something under the general fund.
That was just created, but there's not been any financial activity in that authority, and it was just created last year.
Oh, okay. So there's no activity, even though there's some funding that's available. Correct.
Well, they've had meetings, but they haven't spent any money.
They haven't spent any money, but there is money allocated for activity, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
they'll probably spend
Thank
out
you
of
so
the
much.
Economic Development Fund.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from the council?
I'd just like to say, as usual, your department's done a great job.
Mhm.
And as usual, I'm going to take some credit for Tony being one of my students.
Of course.
Thank you.
All right, is anyone from the Audit and Finance Committee want to?
Yeah, I just got one on page 19.
Could you come up to the mic so the listening audience?
On page 19, infrastructure shows no change in value. Same thing, water contracts.
Is it
I was curious as to why that was.
Where is this?
Oh.
Oh, okay.
main report.
Yes.
What page are you on?
19.
19.
Capital assets.
Well,
Appreciation.
well, land and those things don't have depreciation, so a big portion of that infrastructure probably doesn't have
That's the value of
depreciation,
the land.
or it's completely depreciated already, one or
Okay.
the other. And then the
Those contracts.
water contracts, they're what are our water rights, I guess, contracts, those stay the same.
They do, they never change.
Okay.
19.
Great. Right, thank you.
I have a question about that. And he brings that up.
Vice President Stevens.
Why doesn't the water rights contracts change?
It's the same amount of water rights that we maintain year after year after year. And
So
it's,
that's the actual rights that we have, correct?
that's correct,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
And I don't know exactly how many acre feet we have and you follow and all that stuff.
That answers that question.
Those are state dedications that were allocated to the city and they maintain
Okay. I
stability.
was thinking maybe like what Carl was saying, our water contracts in the sense of
Oh, okay.
wholesale and things like that. So, excuse me.
All right, anyone else?
I do have some more questions.
Go ahead.
Of course. So McAlester Economic Development Authority, Ms. Harrison already took, we don't have anything so far is going on in that right now, just what beyond what the council's already approved or disapproved this year. McAlester Parking Authority, to my knowledge, we have never done anything with that. What is that?
I don't think
And
there's
I-
anybody on that.
I have asked this question before.
Is it?
I think it has been dissolved.
It has not been dissolved. We have in the past tried to track down any living members of that board. It's been a very difficult encounter.
I know that a council has voted to authorize the
Dissolution.
Yes,
I mean, isn't there, correct me if I'm wrong, and you guys hopefully will, isn't there like $100,000 or something in that?
it's around 60.
Okay. What does it go for?
There's a parking lot down here that we own, that we have rental space.
Right by Lucy Two's.
Okay, that's
Uh-huh.
that
Mhm.
structure there by First National and
It
Lucy
is.
too.
Mhm.
Do we,
We do get rental.
We get rental from it, and we pay an electric bill for the lights.
okay.
How much
Those are
rental?
the only things.
No, please.
I was gonna ask, how much rental do we get for that?
You would ask me that.
Does it cover the bills?
I really am curious because as
No.
long as I've been on
Um,
council now, we've briefly discussed before, like,
It
I don't
covers,
understand why it still exists. I
it
guess
That-
is
covers
what I'm
the
getting
bill.
at.
That dissolution
Has it-
of the authority has been very difficult because of trying to track down the people that are all on that board. And some of them are deceased. I will re-engage that in the upcoming year and see if we can't do something through the state to
Can't
be
we,
able to take
and
care of it.
maybe this is my ignorance, can't we just reappoint people to the authority and then,
If we can find anybody that will be on the.
I mean, why not just make the council the authority?
You know, this has been several years. Let me get
Yeah, I
together
mean,
with the
that's
attorney
I
and
just-
find out.
Just curious to me because it doesn't.
I
don't
can
know, guess
remember
just-
when we
I don't
had
remember
that.
doing anything.
I
We
know-
used to have parking meters
Yeah.
down under this authority.
And that
Really?
was the importance of it, yeah.
I know about 20 years ago, Mark Dershweiler was on it and he wanted to get off and tried to get me to get on it.
We'll work on that.
Okay. Just a few more questions. I'm almost done. What- And maybe I've missed it in here. Why isn't tourism in here on the audit? Or did I miss it?
It's lumped together with, well, it's in there. Oops.
Could you direct me to where it's at? Like I said, there's a good chance I've missed it.
Because- Okay, so the fund balances are on page 54.
Okay.
And tourism is mentioned there.
Okay.
But it is lumped in with all the, government-wide.
Okay.
numbers when they're combined.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Mary, she was gonna give us a revenue, right? This mate
The
over here
revenue
by
for
Lucy
the,
too, the parking
yeah.
lot. Yeah.
we budget about $4,500 a
Okay.
year.
So that's about what
It's
we
very
make
minimal.
off of it?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
The electric is, less than that. We've
Yeah.
always made a little bit of money on it.
Right. Okay.
Which we pour right back into parking, right?
Yep.
Take one line on the street. Any other questions or comments?
The auditor is here if you'd like to have any questions for him.
I don't know if anybody has any questions, but if he has any statement he'd like to make, we'd
Would
be.
you like to come up and-
I don't think you said 25,000. What we paying?
Yeah. 2 minutes or less. No.
I will hope it'll be a lot less, but
Dan's like-
thank you. Yeah, the audit, sound like you guys kind of already touched on some of the details with it, but we basically had a clean or unmodified opinion on the financial statements. One thing that was a little bit different with this year is we had enough federal expenditures that we had to do what we call a single audit. So we not only audited the financial statements, but also did a compliance audit related to the airport improvement grant. Didn't have any findings or issues in relation to that. So that was also a clean opinion on that side. No fraud issues, violations of laws or regulations, anything like that. So all in all, it was a clean audit, and we appreciate the help of the staff and of doing that, as well as, the third party Crawford that helps as well with that. So those are kind of the key things I had noted. So, but if anybody has any questions on that.
Just the, where it says we are not a low risk audit under the federal, is that because of the amount of money that's involved?
Well, there's certain criteria that goes with that. Part of it is you had to have been audited as a single audit in the prior 2 years. And since we didn't have enough federal expenditures, really, I don't think either of the last 2 years have had required that single audit. We did meet the criteria. So say, for instance, if next year we also had to have it, then that third year, if we had no findings, we would have been audited that way for 2 years, and you could be a low risk, which allows us to test the lower amount of overall expenditures.
Okay, so the fact that we're not low risk doesn't indicate anything at all.
Exactly. It's more of a criteria that we set on how much we have to test.
Yeah, it's the government.
Yeah, and there's no such thing as the way they said it as high risk. It's either are you low risk? You could only be a follow one category, but they don't call you high risk. At least in this particular category, there's certain grading agencies that use that verbiage, but not for single audit. So,
Any other questions? Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
We don't have, there's no other questions or comments. I take a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mayor.
Motion Councilman Brown, second Councilman Smith. Any discussion? Corey, would you call the roll, please?
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Pritchard?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, and we're adjourned, and want to thank the Audit and Finance Committee for the work that they do and for coming tonight.